Hello, Dreamcatchers. Welcome to another exciting day in the Writer's Haven. I am your host, Helena, and I'm here with Christian fiction author Terri Ann Johnson to discuss her debut novel, Faith Alone. Here it is. You may remember my chat with Terri in season 1 when she was joined by authors Candy Jackson and Sonia Johnston to discuss their experience in collaborating on the Brown Girl Books Christmas anthology entitled All I Want for Christmas. Well, Terri was working on her book at that time and promised to come back when it was finished. And being a good woman of her word, here she is. So, Dreamcatchers, join me in welcoming best-selling author and my sister scribe, Terri Ann Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
Well, great. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes.
Thank you for keeping your word and coming back.
And thank you for remembering and inviting me back. Thank you.
Well, absolutely, because, I actually remembered you writing this book when we were in our workshop together.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about that a little bit because I also want to just kind of get into that whole concept of sister scribes and how important it is to have that network of authors writing with you. So we met at a workshop that Victoria Christopher Murray was putting on. And
it was called the boot camp.
The boot camp.
I think that was the boot camp.
The writing boot camp, right?
Yeah.
And so just talk a little bit about that experience.
There probably were about 8 or 9 of us.
Yeah.
No more than 10. So I would say a small, intimate group. And what we did each week, we took a chapter or a few chapters from each person's upcoming work. Mm-hmm. And everyone was able to read it and critique it and give feedback. Mm-hmm. So, of
course, it felt like a safe place.
Right. So it felt like a safe place, and that was good. So that's actually where Faith Alone started growing legs, I guess you could say, where it actually began. Mm-hmm. And I think having that network, that safe place, is an awesome time because, before the world sees it, so a smaller microcosm has talked to you about it.
Right.
Has talked to you about your characters. Has talked to you, about different aspects of your writing and also the story. So I think having that safe haven is is an awesome thing. Also, those relationships grow and they continue.
Right.
Because Michelle Rafer and I, we're like accountability partners on future, other works. We'll email each other or we'll just text each other like at 1 o'clock in the morning. Are you still up? Yeah, I'm still up. So, it definitely helps, so you don't feel isolated.
Right.
Because the writing life can be, isolating.
Yeah.
Because you're always, you're by yourself. You got to crank it out. But having that network is a good thing because somebody else is somewhere doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're not by yourself.
And it's a good way, for me, it was a good kick in the pants too. Mm-hmm. What you said about accountability.
Definitely.
And, this, you really have to focus on your craft.
Right.
And in those workshops, we're able to hone it in a way without judgment, right? Because as you said, safe place. And it was just a really, really great experience. And I think just about everybody that was in that group are still connected today.
We are.
We're always on Facebook, checking in with each other.
Right, and you giving us a kick in the pants, saying, all right, it's the new year. Let's
do this.
Right.
Yes.
So that's always good.
And there are a number of people who finished their novels as a result of the workshop and keeping those connections. So, I think it's important, and I'm glad that that I met you.
Right.
But what's funny about us is that we've actually known each other longer.
Our life's trajectory have gone the same since elementary school.
Right.
So same.
And I'm glad that we've reconnected as writers and sister scribes.
Right.
So let's talk about your writer's journey. Now, I know that you also did. We talked about the anthology with Brown Girls Books, but you did another anthology.
I did.
What was the timing between the two?
So that anthology is called Spice, and I did that with a group of writers we called a tribe called Success. That's our little name for ourselves. And Helena Kai is our leader, and the anthology is called Spice. And it's actually a 2-part. One book is called Sugar and one book is called Spice.
Oh.
So my story was called This Can't Be Us. It's about a blended family, three, like the Brady Bunch, 3 kids from the man and 3 kids from the woman, and they get together, and of course, everything breaks loose. You know, we got some drama, we got some tears, we got some forgiveness, we got some love. So I think it's a good little short story.
Yeah, and we were talking off the set about the different subjects that you bring into your writing, and some very powerful issues. With Faith Alone, you talk about
The high risk
pregnancy, a shooting,
Right.
that one of the main characters is killed.
Right.
It was like a violent shooting. Also, there was domestic violence that prompted
that shooting. Right.
And then in the book that you did in the Spice anthology, as you said, you talk about blended families, a school shooting.
Right.
So are those subjects that appear in your books because they are important to you and you want to kind of shed some light on
Some
them?
subjects definitely, like the high risk pregnancy. So yes, a lot of times women don't know exactly what some of the signs are to look for. During different stages of their life, during different stages of their pregnancy. So I definitely wanted to raise some awareness with that in Faith Alone. So that was definitely intentional. So some of the other pieces are kind of drama, just to tell a story. Readers want some drama. So you got to, create that effect, for them, like, oh my goodness. So you want to create that. So that was, with the shooting and the forgiveness piece. Since I am a Christian fiction author, I definitely wanted to touch on themes of forgiveness, themes of love, but there's also themes of romance in Faith Alone as well.
Yeah.
So I think those are some of the important aspects. Now, in the Spice anthology, we do have the school shooting. And we're in Maryland, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, and we actually had that happen within the last year in Maryland. So it's relatable, to those living in urban cities. It's something that can happen. So I thought about that, as a way to merge their families, that blended family together.
Right, to connect them.
Right.
Yeah, so, I'm going to give you a little bit more credit than what you said, because you... because, yes, it's one thing to talk about those very impactful life experiences, but the way that you weave them into your story, it's just so well done.
Thank you.
Because part of it is there's some research that has to go into that too. So it wasn't that you just had this woman have a high risk pregnancy, for example, and didn't talk about what kind, I can't remember the name of it, but what kind
preeclampsia, and it's it's like high blood pressure for pregnant women. So you're right. I talked to pregnant women who actually experienced that. I talked to OBGYNs. So I talked to, people that could actually, tell me, because I didn't experience it, but I talked to people who have high-risk pregnancies and who have had preeclampsia. So, to get the actual, the way it kind of played out, and the bed rest and the doctor's appointments, and actually how they felt, how they felt. So I could, make sure Lachelle felt those things as well.
Yeah, very masterfully done. So, at the top I mentioned that you're a Christian fiction author, and I want to talk about that a little bit because I've spoken to other authors that have identified themselves as Christian authors, and they have elements in their book that some could potentially say, well, I didn't see it as a Christian fiction writing. What are your thoughts in general about those who classify themselves in that way? And is there a box that you all are put in, and you have to write a certain way, and you got to leave certain themes alone, or is it more open
Actually,
than that?
it is more dependent on the author. So yes, I definitely consider myself a Christian fiction author. And when I say that, I mean I definitely am intentional on including things of hope, inspiration, and also, spreading the news, the gospel of Jesus Christ. So, I definitely want readers to walk away with that. But I also feel like there is an audience that they want to read clean. They don't want to read cursing. They don't want to read detailed sex scenes, really descriptive. And, people, and if someone has sex in one of my books, they're married. And they're no descriptive,
Right.
we don't need to
You don't have to
describe
go into the
it.
details
Right,
of
we don't
it.
have to go into details. But we may know they had sex, but that would probably be,
Right, because that's not, something that you're focusing on.
right,
You're,
that's not the focus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think there is an audience, but they want drama, and they want to laugh, and they want to have fun, just like, people that read other genres as well. So
Right.
yeah.
And because you have a following, people are reading your work, and I read some of the reviews for this book, Faith Alone, and your reviewers and your readers, they're very vocal about what it is that they're seeing in your writing and what they enjoyed about it. And I wouldn't say what they didn't enjoy about it.
Right.
There was one reviewer that kind of tickled me. She said, "Oh, it kind of started off slow, but after, maybe the second chapter, I think she said it was like halfway into the second chapter, she couldn't put it down.
Right.
She couldn't
Right.
put it
Okay.
down. So, they're very, they're there, they're watching, they're reading, they're listening, and they're going to tell you.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh
If
yeah.
there's
Reviews
something that
tell you,
they
yes, and I
don't
appreciate
appreciate
each
it.
and every review because they're like gold authors. So
Yeah.
we really need them.
Definitely. Okay. So Faith Alone, that's considered a novella, is it? I mean, I thought the rule was like 30 to 60,000
Right. So it's more than that.
words.
So
Yeah.
it's a novel.
Okay.
It is a
full-blown-
novel. So it's probably right over the novella, but switch that'll come out in 2019. That'll be a little longer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll definitely be a little longer.
Okay, and the reason why I bring that up, because I know in the two anthologies they were short stories.
Yeah, those
novellas.
were short stories. Yes.
And so the craft of writing short stories and novellas, are, I think that there's a lot that goes into it, because you have to, in a very short period of
Right.
time in writing, have to beginning, middle, end.
Right, and you have to also
and it
make
not
sure
feel
that
rushed.
make sure your readers fall in love with your characters or hate your antagonist.
Right.
Love your
The villain.
protagonist and hate your villain. So there's a lot of craft that needs to go into those short stories or into a novella. So you have to be intentional. You can't waste any words. Every word must reveal something new, as we both know.
Right.
So
right.
yeah.
So are you finding that with The Switch, which is a full-blown novel that you're still working on,
Yep.
but you're actively working on
I am.
that, and having come from writing those shorter pieces, is one more difficult than the other, would you say?
The short stories you can appreciate, I guess, for a time period, because if you need to do 8,000 words, you could probably do 8,000 words in a week. Now, of course, you need to go through edits and all like that, but still, you can do 8,000 words. Knowing you have a deadline, knowing you need to get it done. The novels, you get more into your description, you get more into your characters. To me, I need to know more about my characters. What do they eat? What do they like? What do they? What's their style? Are they readers? Do they love to go to the movies? You just have to do more of your character resume in turn, so that as you write, you know what to weave in.
That's funny you said character resume. When Victoria was in with us, last season,
Mm-hmm.
she talked about, I asked her the question, and I'm going to segue to asking you the
Okay.
same question
Okay.
about her process.
Uh-huh.
And she talked about the character resume, and I said, well, what does that look like?
Right.
And she said, it looks like a resume.
Just like a resume.
You know, I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
where
they live,
where they were
their
educated, what they like,
education,
what they don't like,
mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Yeah, and it's also things like that may not be as you may not be able to see as much, like what are their beliefs, what are some of their mottos that they live by, so
Their
that
moral
kind of
values,
their moral
things like
values,
that.
more their inner things too.
Yeah, because that helps to shape the
Right,
character
right.
and bring some authenticity to your writing when you're writing what they say and how they act and how they feel about things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I try to delve into those as well. But it's everything,
Okay, so with your process, I'm sure you're outlining.
Of course, I am an outliner. Some people can just start chapter 1 without an outline.
Isn't that amazing?
But it is. But I need to kind of know where I'm going.
Right.
I take it and I go up and then I go down. Because I need to build it, climax, and come on down. So, and then wrap it up.
Right.
So I love the outline because I can't start writing until I outline. Now, I will not hold myself to the outline. Like as I'm writing, if something comes up differently, I'm willing to go there. So I don't feel like I'm pigeonholed to that outline.
Right.
But I feel like I need it to at least get started. Because once you start writing, the creative process, things just start flowing.
Right.
And that's when you're like, ooh, that's like the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So you feel really good, but I still feel like I need to at least
have a
think
foundation.
I know where I'm going. Right.
Yeah, have a foundation, but allowing yourself some flexibility when you need. Because when the characters start talking
then
to you,
you just got to listen.
Yeah, they start leading you in another direction. And you're
right.
like, wait a minute, but
right.
Yeah,
so I'm willing to go.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. So you're outlining. You talked about the character resume. What comes first, actually, with that? Or are you doing that synonymously?
For me, I would say the outline, and then as I'm doing the outline, I pull out my character resumes as well.
Okay.
Now, I don't resume for like smaller characters don't get resumes, so it's definitely the protagonist, the antagonist, and probably their BFFs. Their main people,
Yeah.
Not the lady, that you may see at work, that you may talk to here and there, but their main supporting characters.
Okay. What about music? Now I'm just talking about in your process, not because we're going to talk about all those songs you have in Faith Alone, but in your process, because I've heard some authors talk about, when I'm writing, I have to have certain songs on. They'll have like a playlist. To me, it would be distracting.
Right. No.
But
I'm a library person.
Okay.
I have to get out the house and I have to go somewhere. A library is one. I love Panera Bread, so I have to go someplace else where I don't have those distractions. But I write late at night as well.
Okay.
So then I will have the TV on low, just, it's a little background noise, but not music because I love to sing.
Okay.
So I'll go somewhere else. I'll sing and everything else. So I'm more of TV as background music.
Okay.
So I don't listen to music when I write.
Okay. So we've talked about your process, but your writing process. Let's talk a little bit about the business of writing. Because you didn't self-publish any of the 3 books that you're doing, nor are you planning to self-publish your novel.
I'm not sure. I probably won't, but we'll see.
Okay. Because
I am curious, and I'm thinking about when I do self-publish, definitely do a novella, or just do a ebook.
Okay.
When I do, so that may be 2020, something like that. But we'll see. Because I am curious, because I want to do it. I want to do it. I do want to go through the process, so I can see which one I like. Which one I prefer.
Yeah.
So I do want to do it.
Well, off the top, other authors will say, well, if you're self-publishing, the profit margin is a lot more slanted in your direction.
Right.
versus the publication or the
Right.
publisher, who takes
Yeah.
money off the top.
But then it's that time too. You want to make sure
Yes.
you get it out and it's looking it's looking polished and
Yes.
so it's
Right.
so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I do want to do it. Just because I want to
Okay.
do it,
Okay.
and then I can compare.
Yeah. So, but the marketing, whether it's self-published or you're with
through
a publisher,
you have to get out there and let people know you can't sit behind a computer and market yourself on social media. You do have to go out and meet people, whether it's a book convention, whether it's, because I think I went to 3 last year, so people could get to know me.
Right.
I can get to know them. So that was a nice experience because you get followers too, people that love your work and they want to know who you are, as an individual and not do only social media.
Yeah.
So I thought that was nice, and I do have some friends, and we hit each other up, and that's how we met, like through Faith Alone. So it's kind of nice.
Okay.
So I like going out and meeting people as well. It's just a good feeling.
Yeah. So are there any authors that influence your writing?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm an avid reader, so I've been reading like middle school. I've always read. So I think reading turned into the desire to write when I was younger. So I always kind of knew I was going to write something. I even took a journalism class in college. That was eons ago. But so I always had the bug. So when I was younger, I would say I read like Judy Blume and B.C. Andrews and Flowers in the Attic, and all those little books. And then books started coming out for us, for brown folk, black folk. The Bluest Eye, by Toni Morrison. And then, of course, I love Terri McMillan. Mama is actually my favorite book by her. So I got to meet her last summer at the National Book Club conference in Atlanta.
The picture of you on your social media.
Yes, I was just like
blowing up.
I love Terri McMillan. So that was good. So those are some of my just all time go tos. Of course, when I read Victoria Christopher Murray's book, I was like, this is what I want to do.
Right.
Like, because I always knew I wanted to write. But then that was the first Christian fiction novel that I read. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So she was a big influence as well. Yeah. Rashonda Tate Billingsley. I mean, when I read her books, I mean, you talking about craft. Yeah. I mean, she can just write. And then she writes fast.
She has such a great sense of humor.
Right.
That comes out in her writing. Well, they both do. Both Victoria and Rashonda.
Yeah, so those are some of the influences.
Okay, yeah. Okay. And who are you reading? Who's on your book, on your nightstand right now?
Rhonda McKnight. She's an inspirational Christian fiction author. Jacqueline Thomas. She just finished The Poison Pen.
Oh yeah.
Which was,
I have got to pick that up.
Yes, I loved it. I would say, so it's funny because I'm reading some of my sister scribes.
Okay.
Like I'm reading Lachelle Weaver, her Christmas Past. Michelle Mitchell, When the Bells Come Ringing. That's actually what I'm reading right now.
Okay.
Or The Bells. Can't think of it right now, but The Bells Will Be Ringing.
Okay.
That's a Christmas short as well. So I'm reading that. So it's funny though because a lot of my sister scribes that I'm on a email, on social media with, they're coming out with things, and it's like you got to read them. You want to support.
Right.
You want to support your sister scribes. So.
Yeah. That's really important. So what have you found to be the keys to the success in finishing your book and getting it out?
Having an accountability partner that is going to say, hey,
where are you on this?
Yeah. My BFF, when I'm finished a chapter, I'll send it to her. If she has not heard anything after a certain amount of time, because she knows I'm writing, so she'll say, hey, where are we with Chapter 4, Chapter 5. So I would definitely say the accountability partner. is 100% necessary, because you will chill. I mean, you in life sometimes, you know, if you have children, if you have a husband, a significant other, they want your time too.
Right.
And you have to carve out your time too. Just like you get up and go to work, you know, you're going to be at work from 9 to 5. If you say, okay, from 9 to 10, from 10 to 11. So for me, it's after my son goes to bed, yeah. And that's when I know I can have that peace. So even if it's for an hour, when I know I'm trying to get it done, but that hour turns into 2, you know, once you start getting into it. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what advice would you give to new authors that are honing their craft? And
I would give the advice to take courses. That's what I did, because once you start talking to people, you know, that's when you'll become more motivated. You know, I took at least 3 classes from Victoria, but then I took a class from Rhonda McKnight. I took a class from Brian Smith. You know, so
Brian Smith had
and his class was good as well.
Okay.
And I think there might have been 6 of us in his class. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to hit him up and find out.
He did an online class.
Okay.
He did an online class last year. So I would definitely say that study the craft, because it makes it easier. You know, when you're writing, you know, you feel more comfortable.
Right.
You can tell the story because it's going to be edited. Your story is going to be edited, so don't have your feelings hurt. You know, don't be in your feelings, but at least you can, you know, get it out, and you know, it'll just come out a little smoother.
Yeah. So what's next?
What is next? Well, 2019. The follow-up to Faith Alone is called Switched. So you going to meet Switched,
or is it the Switch?
Well, I changed it.
Okay.
Initially, it was the Switch.
Okay.
But it'll be switched. So you'll meet Lachelle and John in Switch, and some of the drama that they go through trying to determine if their son, who they thought had passed away, is actually alive or not. So that's the premise. Wow. That's the plot for Switch.
So how can
that's a lot.
where can people go to connect with you?
Any of my social media platforms. I'm on Twitter, TA Johnson 419. I'm on Instagram, Terri Johnson 419, and my Facebook page is author Terri Ann Johnson.
Well, dream catchers, join me next time in the Haven when writer, filmmaker, and writing coach Victor McLaughlin comes in for a visit. Celebrating 20 years in the biz, Victor has written 15 books, filmed 2 TV series pilots, and released his first movie, Texas Voodoo Zombies. He shares great insights in the writing process and filmmaking from the screenwriter and director perspective. You don't want to miss that interview, so tune in any way you can. Hit us up on any of our 23 broadcast stations or connect into our podcast channels, including YouTube, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Sonos, Spotify, SoundCloud, Alexa, and Spreaker. You can also connect with us on our social media outlets. I look forward to having you back in the Haven, and until next time, catch fire on purpose.